Hi, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. A special thank you to my patrons, Wild Rose, Lauren Chris, That British Unicorn, Jam Beans, Debbie Elliott, and D. Higgins. So this is the second part of my Chantal, what's the weekly Chantal catch-up series. I'm going to address something right off the bat. I know I've got spiders attached to my eyelashes. I was a little inspired by our girls, and I got a pair of these magnetic lashes. Well, it's not a pair, it's like a whole set. I'll link it down below if anyone's interested. My friend actually got them first, and she really liked them, so I thought, why not? I'm really terrified of like lash glue and getting things near my eyes, so I've never tried like really to put them on, and I cannot under any circumstances use a lash curler. So I thought this looked like a relatively safe and non-traumatizing thing to do, so I figured let me try it. If I like it, maybe I'll wear them on camera, and I do. I actually really like them. These are the most extra pair. I don't know if you guys can tell. Anyway, I probably look crazy. Anyway, moving on. This is the second half of the weekly Chantal series that I do, that I generally post every Monday. She just had too much for me to get through all in one video, and especially one of the videos later on deserves its own time in the sun, in the harsh glare of the spotlight, because she said some incredibly stupid fucking things in there, and I really want to address them. Pardon my language. So we'll be covering 4 videos in this one. There's the PETA video, the live that she had immediately after. She had another live, Get Ready With Me, it was called. And then the last one that she did was the abominable Pete's. Sometimes words are hard for me. Anyway, let's jump into it.
You know, it's not fries, it's not chips. It's a pita, whole wheat pita. And this is the falafel pita, so you just add whatever veggies you want. And they have like the spiced chickpea patties. And to go with it, and I put hummus on it and some tzatziki. To go with it, I always get the Yogan Fru's berry smoothie with probiotic yogurt. Oh. Mm.
So, the smoothie is maybe not the best option for her. The calories on it are fine. They're not really very high. It's a fruit and yogurt smoothie. It's not that big of a deal. The problem is that overall you should not be having liquid calories. Every diet person, every healthcare professional that I've spoken to regarding my weight has said that's the easiest way to cut out a good portion of calories. It's just to not drink them. They actually, for me, my doctor even went as far as to say, hey, don't have soups. For a good long period of time, I didn't have soups because even that was something that I didn't find very filling. And then I tended to overeat that, or I tended to need other things to make me feel satiated with them. So that's a big reason why I think that's a bad idea. But another reason why it's a bad idea is that if you're diabetic, that's mostly just yogurt and then fruit. And while fruit is really, really great for you, it's high in fiber, it's high in micronutrients and macronutrients, it is also very high in sugar. So diabetic people have to be very, very careful about how much fruit they eat. Otherwise, it can spike up their insulin. Same thing with breads. No matter if it's like healthy and whole wheat and all of those good things, it's still going to spike up your insulin if you're eating bread, because they're carbohydrates. At the end of the day, they're just complex carbs, but they're still carbs. So I don't think that's a very good idea. The wrap, probably like the thing that it's wrapped in, is also not a great idea, but I think that's still better than the fruit. So she's doing it again in this video. If you guys watched my the video directly before this one, you will know that I talked about how she talks about her health situation and the plans that she's making to improve them while she is doing incredibly unhealthy things and like eating food on camera, right? This meal in and of itself does not seem like the worst thing she's ever eaten. She's eaten a lot worse, and honestly, anything she does to better her health is like a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. But the act of eating on camera is not good for her. We've discussed before how whenever she starts by eating on camera, it always devolves into something worse. So she'll start by eating on camera, just healthy stuff. She'll do cookbongs, and then she'll be like, well, I'll just have fast food once a week. And then she'll be having fast food twice a week. And then before you know it, she's mukbanging every single day. We've seen that progression with her in the past, and I have no reason to believe that it'll be any different this time. I mean, I hope it will be different. I hope that she only does this, but it concerns me. That said, in and of itself, nothing particularly wrong with this meal. It is definitely on the higher end of calories. If it was you or me, I would not recommend eating this kind of meal as a health option. But Chantal's a significantly bigger lady. She has a higher allowance, right? Quote unquote. She can eat a lot more and still lose weight. And honestly, if you've got a binge eating disorder, if you've got a higher metabolism, you want to be eating more, because otherwise you might put yourself in this weird place where you haven't eaten enough, and so you get really, really ravenous and then eat way, way too much. The act, however, is still problematic, and that's been pointed out to her a lot of times, and I think that's why she's doing it right now as well. She's putting some emotional distance between her actions and the consequences of what it has gotten her in the past. She's trying to say the right things and do the right things so that she can talk herself into believing that this is fine. My actions are fine. What I'm doing is fine, right? Because I've got all these plans. Don't you see? I've got all of this worked out. It will all be fine. It's all under control. It's part of the plan. I have a plan. I'm sticking to the plan and I'm working the plan, rather than what I sometimes feel like it is, which is just her doing whatever she can to include as much fast food and takeout as she possibly can, you know?
So, I don't know if you guys have Pita Pit where you are. And I just want to say, no, my dietitian did not recommend this. I've only had one session so far. It was a 15-minute consultation just to go over like expectations and basic things. It's a huge pita, so I cut it in half. However, the first official session, which is like an hour long, apparently typically she just gets some like background health history on me, my eating habits, like information like that, because when it comes to like the eating and nutrition, it's not really one size fits all, right? It's like people have different health issues, health needs, and she needs to take all that medical history into consideration. So once I have more info for you guys, I'll let you know.
I really hope that she's given her doctor access to all of her YouTube stuff and not just told her about it verbally, because there's a lot of stuff that I watch that I pick up on that she necessarily did not communicate to me, right? That she didn't say, this is what I'm doing, this is what it is. And I think that a licensed professional will be able to pick up a lot more of those patterns of behavior that she has, and maybe they can give her something, maybe they can like advice-wise. I don't mean just like give her medication. I don't always think that that's, you know, the fix for everything, but I think that they can guide her in a better direction if they have the full picture. You guys know I have a therapist. I told my therapist about my YouTube channel, and regardless of whether the comments I'm getting are good or bad, they have an impact on me, right? And sometimes the impact is fairly benign and sometimes it's not. I've gotten comments before where someone has said something remarkably kind to me. Not like, I'm not saying everyone's like mean on here. I've got a couple people saying really, really nice things to me, and immediately it put me in this weird place where in my brain I went, I now have to live up to that and I'm a failure when I fuck up. And it happens. That's the kind of person I am. That's the kind of way my brain is wired. And I have to talk to my therapist about it. I've given her all the information so she can watch some of the stuff that I say and or do. And my channel is not really linked too much to my personal struggles, but Chantal's really is. So I really hope that her therapist has this information, can look into it in more detail so she can pull out the threads that other people have noticed themselves. Like, I will be very frank with you guys. I think the best person on YouTube right now who talks about the different threads of her life, of Chantal's life, and talks about her struggles with addiction would be SmokeySteveAndMarc. Steve has done a fantastic job, and he always brings a new, fresh perspective. He talks about a lot of the in-depth issues that she has, and he talks about it in a very intelligent way. And he said he's like mental health related as well. So that's why I feel that a professional will be able to really do so much of good with the wealth of information that she has put online.
These videos are just easy to do. They're low maintenance. you know, people were like, well, how come it's so easy for you to put up mukbangs? But non-related food content, it's like pulling teeth. It's not that it's pulling teeth, it's just that it takes more planning. Especially during COVID times, we're not really doing anything or going anywhere. Nothing's open. There's not really much in the way of videos. Like, I mean, my life is pretty boring right now. So if you want to see me more, you may have to take these kind of videos here and there, you know?
This is going to sound really bitchy and really mean, but honestly, I'm getting a little tired of her continuously blaming COVID for the state of her life. No, right? Not to defend a virus or anything like that. Quite frankly, the state of her life is due to her weight. She barely went out and did things before COVID. She stayed in her house and she ate most of the time anyway, because Chantal can't walk a block without being out of breath. She drove from place to place to eat food because those were her hobbies. She didn't do much. Like, if you look at her content fundamentally from before, you know, COVID and after COVID, they haven't really changed all that much. Like, I can tell you for a fact, the moment that COVID is over, I'm going to be traveling. I will probably take vlogs while I'm there. I will put them up online for you guys to enjoy. I'm not doing it. I didn't promise them. If you guys remember during December, I said I would put up, you know, stuff for Vlogmas, and I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. Literally nothing happened for me. So what am I going to put up? Me sitting around at home trying to fill the time and doing my like work? No, none of that's interesting, right? For Chantal, she doesn't have any hobbies outside of the food. She doesn't really have any hobbies outside of YouTube. That's why she comes on the platform and sits there for 8 hours, you know, on New Year's. Even though I did practically nothing for New Year's, I still had like Zoom parties, right? We made the same food. We sat, we chatted, you know, and then at a reasonable time, I was like, all right, peace out. I'm going to go to bed so I can wake up refreshed for 2021. She doesn't have anything else in her life other than that. So the fact that she keeps blaming, and look, the fact of the matter for me, I know I've said fact of the matter a lot, and I know some of y'all are going to come for me again because, you know, I like to repeat words. But the thing is, I don't like her putting all of the blame on COVID, because what it does is it takes away the impact that the weight has had on her life. She needs to look at it very clearly and understand that, hey, yeah, COVID sucks, but my life isn't different because my life sucked before COVID because my weight put me there. Without the realization that your weight is very negatively impacting your life every single day, you're going to be in this weird headspace where you think, well, once COVID's over, my life will be much better. You'll give yourself this false sense of expectation that when something external changes, the state internally that I have, my personal life will change. That's how it was with her with moving, right? She did nothing about her mental health. She did nothing about her eating. She just moved from BB's apartment to the one that she's sharing with Pete and thought everything will be different because something externally changed. It won't be different. You have to make it different. And she didn't do any of that.
This has been my go-to. You can say, you can make it at home. I have done that. There's something about, I just can't get it to taste the same. Like, I think they use a pita steam press, and then they I don't know what they do. It just never tastes the same as good. And maybe it's because my brain is thinking, ooh, it's takeout food, you know?
Yeah, the wrap is fine. I mean, I'm sure it's, it doesn't, I don't know, if it doesn't really look like a whole wheat wrap, but she's got a ton of vegetables in there, so it's probably got fiber in it. Falafel are pretty good for protein as well. They are deep fried, but, you know, a little bit of fat in there is fine. She's got some fat from the tahini as well. All in all, this seems like a perfectly fine meal. I think half would be probably better, and to pair that with maybe like a salad or something like that, like a tabbouleh would be nice, right? But I mean, whatever. This is literally one of the best things I've ever seen her eat. So go for it. I don't really have much of a problem with this meal. You know, the smoothie, I've already mentioned, I talked about it. A little bit more of a problem, but it's also fine. I don't care all that much. I think this is an okay meal as long as she doesn't have any diabetes related issues down the line. Quick aside, her skin is looking real rough. Like, it's been looking real rough in quite a few of her videos recently. Anyone in here, a dermatologist, or know anything about skin, please let me know down below why you think that is. I have, like, I've told you guys before, I have eczema, and I have, like, dry skin because of that, but otherwise I have fairly oily skin. And those two problems aside, like the extreme oiliness in the T-zone and the eczema that I occasionally get, I have never had very many skin issues. I didn't really even have acne when I was a teenager, right? So other than getting the occasional stray pimple or like a sudden burst of like extra dry skin, I don't really have too many skin problems. And I've never really looked into it because it didn't apply to me personally. So I was like, what do I care?
So I have some therapy homework to do. I don't mind telling you guys like things here and there. I'm not going to share like everything, but things that I'm learning that are helping me on the journey for sure. But I found like, so my homework is like basically writing down all the food rules I have, you know, like certain restrictions that I make for myself, like when I'm on a diet or whatever. You know, like people have food rules like I can eat this, but then I can't eat this at like this time, or like certain food rules. And the thought of what emotions come up when I think of taking my food away and stop binging and stuff like that. Like what emotions come up, because like my therapist said something that makes so much sense. Like binging happened for a reason, basically. Like I get something out of it. You know, like there's a reason I'm doing it. What do I get out of it? And how do I feel with that being removed? You know what I mean? Excuse me.
I find it very funny that she's saying that, well, you know, I'm sure that her doctor would not approve this. I mean, she's had a 15-minute appointment with a dietitian, and she's had one appointment with a therapist. It's not to say that they can't be very informative, but that's really not all that much time to get through to somebody who is as stubborn as Chantal is. So I'm just surprised. That's all I'm going to say. I'm surprised. Anyway, next. All right. I have not watched this video. I know some reactors, Yaba, particularly from the YouTube Underground, she has actually put like her react up. Yaba's great. If you guys have never seen the YouTube Underground, I recommend it. She is hilarious. Her voice kind of reminds me of Cartman, which I don't mean that as an insult. I totally mean that as a compliment, because her coverage of Chantal is maybe the funniest thing in the entire world. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, that if you are not aware of who I am, Yaba, please find out, because I really want you to invite me with you guys to Canada for the support group trip. I would really like that, please. Thank you. There was not much happening in this video. From what I have heard on Twitter sphere, nobody seemed to be melting down. The only thing there's some concern about, like, Pete's writing fan fiction. When he was younger, I think 10 years ago, when he was still an adult, but he was writing fan fiction of, I want to say, underaged girls, like in a same-sex relationship. And there was something about, like, I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I mean. I don't know enough about that to really be educated. What I will say is that I think fan fiction as a whole is a good thing. I think exploring a lot of themes and ideas and complex emotions in literature is definitely a lot better than trying to figure them out in any other form. There are a lot of, like, if you guys know at all, if you guys don't know who Lindsay Ellis is, familiarize yourself. She's awesome. She covered this entire subgenre of fan fiction that essentially just turned into a subgenre of books. It's called the Omegaverse. It's a weird place to be, but I recommend you guys take a look at it, because it really tells you a lot about what people want. So a lot of it is just, what it boils down to is people in same-sex relationships wanting to have children, which I think is a good thing. And it's to explore that place, especially in a time where, you know, it's harder for same-sex couples to adopt kids. There's a lot of restrictions put in place all over the world. These can be ways in which you can explore those ideals. You can explore that sort of avenue, a little bit of escapism, if you will. Recommend looking into it yourself. So I don't know the specifics of the stories that he wrote, but if I can make a case for fan fiction, I say go for it. I like it. And also, if there's funny ones you know of, please let me know, because I like reading them. No romance. I don't care for that. I don't care for that. I don't care for it in movies, TV shows, books, fan fiction, anything. Give me murder or give me death. That actually comes down to the same thing. Anyway, next.
I wouldn't say I'm doing mukbangs. I'm probably going to do here and there, like a healthy dinner and like a eat dinner with me or something. Maybe if I'm going out somewhere, I don't know, but I'm not going to do like, I want to try different things on my channel, you know, like unhealthy mukbangs anyways. They're not the type of content you can just, to me, just like, I want to veer away from it. Like, you don't just do it just because it's more popular, because honestly, it's your health, right? So my viewpoint's changed a bit on that. So I'm going to try this Gimme Brow. The eyeshadows. Yeah. See what I can do. I really need to pluck my eyebrows really bad. Oh my god. Oops.
She's still gonna do mukbangs. Ah. All right. Look. I have complex feelings about this, because on the one hand, I want her to be okay with eating on camera and for it to not trigger a lot of like terrible things down the line. But on the other hand, I've never seen that to be true for her so far. And given how early she is in her recovery at this moment, I don't know if it's a good idea. I think she should abstain from it until like 2 years down the line when she's much, much more recovered. And then she can maybe consider doing mukbangs. Right now, I don't know if it's a good idea, but man, if her therapist says it's fine, then I guess it must be fine. Sorry, I don't know why I was just doing this all of a sudden. Nobody needs to see that.
Pete really wants to go to Japan. I think I would go with him if I was healthy. I don't see why not. I honestly think Pete would be so fun to travel with, because, you know what I mean?
Traveling with Pete's will be really fun for Chantal, because Chantal can boss Pete's around. There's a really informative video that I watched a little while ago about the quote-unquote abusive way in which Chantal behaves towards Pete's in general. I will link that down below. I think that video is very eye-opening. It's very well done, and you know, I think you guys should watch it. So I'm gonna leave a link down below. I wish I could remember the title and the name of the person who made it, but I can't because I'm an idiot. I'll try and flash it across the screen though. I've watched it twice all the way through just so I could get the most out of it, and she's made some very excellent points. That's why I think she'd want to go with Pete's, because Pete's will be there to go fetch food for her, to help her put on her shoes, to hold her hand and help her walk across places because she can't keep up anymore. Pete's will be okay with canceling plans because Chantal's too tired. And I guarantee you, Chantal is definitely the type of person who would say, if I can't go, then you shouldn't go either. If I can't go and enjoy these things, then I don't see why anyone else should either. So I think that's why she would like traveling with Pete's. I don't think Pete's would have a really good time. And I will say this as a fact, Japan especially is not meant for heavier people. I am not I'm not as heavy as Chantal is. I'm obviously fat. I've said this before. And when I went to Japan, I was like 20 pounds thinner than I am now. And even then, there were a lot of things that it was like a little bit tight for me, right? Like there were times where I just felt so fat and just so out of place in Japan, because it's just not a society that's made for larger individuals, for better or for worse. It just is what it is. The other thing is, Japan has a very robust public transportation system, but you have to walk a lot. I was walking in excess of like 5 miles every single day when I was in Japan. She can't do it. She can't even walk a block now. Are you telling me she's going to be able to walk 5 miles to get on and off like train stations and whatnot, like subway stations that they have there, of like getting onto the rail, of walking down the different like shopping districts that they have? I don't believe it. And even if she loses 100 pounds, which right now I don't know if that will happen, even if she loses 100 pounds at 300 pounds, I still don't think she'll be able to do it. And she's self-conscious enough that the idea that she might not be able to do it, even without attempting it, will keep her from actually trying and going.
All right, so this is the one my sister got me, this palette. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
This is really unrelated to Chantal as a whole. She got this Naked Heat palette as a gift. I actually have the Naked Heat palette. It's a lovely palette. I think it makes some really nice warm looks, but it really has a lack of, I want to say, diversity in the shade ranges. So you basically just have one kind of shade and you can only create a certain number of looks. It also only has a couple of darker shades if you're somebody who has a darker complexion than, say, me, which I fall on the fair to medium, kind of middle of the range, you know, sort of complexion. Even I have difficulty sometimes building up the depth that I would want in some looks, because the only dark shade they have in there is also the worst shade that they have in there. It's like a purpley color, and it can make it really hard to work with on darker skin tones. So for whatever that's worth, you know, figure I'd give you my 2 cents on that palette.
Pete's, apparently, I didn't even know this, but he used to write like fan fictions a lot, like over 10 years ago. So I don't know. I don't even know what they're about. I don't read them. But
all right, yeah, so this is again on the fan fiction thing. She's really dismissive of this, and I can tell you for a fact that there are award-winning authors right now, of like the Hugo Award, for example, winning authors who've written fan fiction. They got their start in fan fiction. It is honestly a lot easier to build a world, to have a novel idea for a universe, than it is to build engaging characters that are filled with depth and emotion and that feel real, right? One of the reasons why the Harry Potter series in particular has always stuck with me is because I love the characters. The world is beautiful. I love the world of Harry Potter, but it was the characters that really made it real for me. And there are some books that have honestly the opposite problem. So like the world of, if you guys have ever read I think it's the Allegiant series. Divergent. I remember the second book, but not the first. The Divergent series is the universe is good. The characters are very one-dimensional. And what that results in is that it's just a hollow feeling. Like, right, you don't relate to any people in there. So you read the first book and you're like, I'll get to the second book when I get to the second book, right? I think that fan fiction is a great tool to help you develop your ability to write a character, because you have to create your own characters in a fan fiction, right? You have to like take characters that already exist and give them different dimensions and give them different depths, but also you have to create brand new characters for a story. They can be supporting characters, but they still have to feel like real people. And it's an exercise in creative writing. And I think that you can really use that as an avenue to build up your skills at creating characters, and then try and create a universe and create your own unique characters within it. But you'll already have worked on one aspect of writing so much, and I think it's great. I'll link the video that I think Lindsay Ellis did on this topic, and you guys can go watch that. Once again, very fantastic. I don't want people to look down on it. For a very long period of my life, everyone sort of mocked fan fiction. And I was like, oh, that's weird things that girls do where they read stories about it. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. Fundamentally, I think most fan fiction is great. There's some really weird, creepy shit out there too, but for the majority of it, it's a fantastic exercise in writing, and I love it. There's some authors there that have written better novel-length books, like fan fictions, than any book that I have read. Honest to goodness, there's one that has like romance in it, which I don't really care for, but the idea of it is so novel. It's like a reinterpretation of Beauty and the Beast, but it's set in the X-Men universe, I think, if I remember correctly. And I swear to God, that person has written so well. It's one of the only fan fictions that I have an alert on. And if it ever upload another chapter, I will 100% read it, because they've done such a good job.
That's like, what, over 10 years ago? A long time ago. But, I don't know. I don't know why people dig up things that people do in, like, more than 10 years ago just for their own entertainment. Who cares?
people don't change fundamentally. After a certain point, you just sort of are who you are. Your character traits are sort of set. And outside of a very traumatic life event, that's kind of who you stay. So when you're looking at a person's history, right, and they did a lot of the history that they have is from when they were like in their mid to late 20s, absolutely I'm going to use that as a basis of judging their character now. If they were, say, 19, not so much, right? They're still developing as a person at that point. But around the age of 25, your brain's just sort of set. You've finished developing, right? At this point, it's all downhill from there anyway. So I think that using your history from that point onwards to determine the type of person you are is a smart thing to do. The biggest indicator of future behavior is past behavior. I'm not going to give you a pass, especially because a lot of the time when Chantal and Amber and a lot of the other girls bring up their personal history, they've never even appropriately addressed or apologized for it. So yeah, it's still relevant. All of it is still relevant.
Everyone wants to be entertained. Yeah, but people who are entertained by, like, that kind of thing, like, what kind of people are they? You know what I mean? It's just like... No, they don't have a life, Marissa. That's the problem. Obviously. I can't imagine somebody with, like, a wholesome life and happiness and love in their life. You know what I mean? Like, coming home and just, like, cracking their fingers. Let's go online and go on forums and pick apart, like, this person's teeth or how they look or what they did 10 fucking years ago. Oh my god, I paid for a lookup on this person's history. All for that, like, person not even to really give a crap. Like, you know, like, I find it disturbing and then, okay, whatever. Moving on, you know?
If I had anything better to do, I would do them. But I'm stuck indoors because there's a pandemic happening outside right now and I don't have anywhere else to go. So I'm going to do this because this is entertaining. Also, equally as important is when you put stuff up online, you want people to care. If people didn't care about what you are doing online, no one would come and watch your channel. So you want people to care. It's a good thing, right? They might not care in the way that you want, but you're still profiting from it. People's negative perception of you, you're still making a buck off of. So I would kind of maybe get off my high horse a little bit. The other thing you really want to consider is that the reason why people find you so interesting is the same reason why people find people like Cardi B so interesting, while they find shows like My 600-Pound Life so interesting. They take something away from it. They take something away about how you should act, how you shouldn't act, how to market yourself, how to better yourself. They also take away, this is what messed up people are like, right? They take away, hey, people can have these issues with food. They can take away from your life that it's a little bit of a train wreck. And maybe they take away, hey, maybe this is what I do to not let it get that way for me. People are interested in other people. People are interested in other aspects of humanity. That's literally what we've been doing from the dawn of time. We're an incredibly social creature. And especially at a time where we don't have the ability to interact with people in person, that aspect, the online aspect of it, has become even more important. So I mean, I don't really understand where she's coming from. Like, this girl watches a lot of TV and a lot of movies. Why do you think you watch TV? Why do you think you watch movies? For the same reason, because you're interested in what they're doing. You don't have to like them. God, one of the most interesting characters that I've ever seen in media is Joffrey from Game of Thrones. And I swear to God, I dislike him so much that I even dislike the actor who plays him. That's how deep my feelings run. But I still care. The same way that you care, right? You care about fictional characters and real characters. People are interested. That's all humanity is. We just want to know about other people. We're a curious bunch.
It's like, I don't get like these like 50-something-year-old people who are like, I'm from Hater Nation. And they like pick apart everything like every obese person on the internet does and don't call that fat shaming. Or like if I'm like almost 60 or 50 something and I'm picking on obese women on the internet for a few hundred views, just put me out of my misery at that point. Seriously.
I think she's talking about Miss Hussey here again. I can't tell. She's either talking about Miss Hussey or DCMediaGirl. And I don't know. And honestly, I don't care, quite frankly, because everything she said here basically says to me, well, fat shaming is bad and you shouldn't fat shame me. But if I age shame you, that's fine. You know, that's acceptable because I'm doing it. And I'm the victim, you see. I'm the victim, and therefore all of my behavior is fine because I'm the victim. Because you should feel bad for me because I have a problem and I can't help it. You know, being a food addict is something that's completely out of my control as opposed to aging, which, as you know, is optional. Also, not to be, you know, mean or to put too fine a point on it, the way that you are currently going, ma'am, you might not make it to 50. So I would look at those people as aspirational goals. And again, it's shaming when it happens to her. But when she does it to other people, it's fine. Because Chantal only ever hits back at people in self-defense, you see. So calling somebody's nose too big, calling Charlie Cole, insulting Yaba's parenting skills, just saying that CherryBerry weight loss is bigger than her, which is an objectively provable fact that that's not true, right? All of those things are fine because she's only doing it in self-defense. And, you know, calling people old, shaming them for how old they are, it's all self-defense, so it's fine. Because that's how it works in real life, right? When you hit somebody after they've hit you, that's self-defense. And then when you keep hitting them after that point, it's still self-defense because they hit you first. If they hit you one time, but then after that you hit them 50 times, the other 49 times are still self-defense, right? You can totally ask a lawyer. I know what I'm talking about here. It's still self-defense. I'm being a little ridiculous, but quite frankly, she wants to talk about people being mean to her. Go ahead. I don't care. You want to call me names? You can call me names. I don't really give a shit. But the fundamental issue with the way that you do it is that you don't seem to realize the hypocrisy in your own behavior. You want people to think that you're a good person. You're not. Because you're displaying shitty behavior. And more importantly, you take exception to what people say and do in regards to you, but then you display that same shitty behavior towards them. And then I find myself thinking, well, then how are you better than me? If you're not better than me, then you can say what you want about me and I'll say whatever I want about you. And you're not okay with that. You want to be able to say whatever you want because it's in self-defense, but I can't say it whatever I want because that would be fat shaming. You have an out for everything. You have an excuse for why nothing should ever be said to you and why you should not be held accountable for anything. And if we say anything otherwise, it's fat shaming. There's no such thing as accountability in your world. There's no such thing as acceptance of guilt in your world. There's no such thing as sincerely apologizing in your world. All of it is that I'm always the victim and therefore I'm always right about everything. And if you can't accept that, then you're fat shaming.
Yeah, they do pick on fat women a lot more too. You know, it's like, I hate when people are like, our girls. It's like they lump they lump me, Amberlynn, Jen, Amy all in one. Like we don't have our own individual characters and struggles, and they fat shame, they mental illness shame. They're absolutely disgusting to us, and they think, and that's okay. That's like an actual like form of entertainment on this platform, and it's just disgusting, you know. And like nobody says anything about it, nobody does anything about it, you know, because we're fat, we overeat, we deserve it, you know, or we defend ourselves against it because I don't take your shit sometimes. We deserve it.
I'm really getting tired of this narrative that she has that we lump her together with Amber when she is the one who brings up Amber a lot when she's going on the offensive. She says, Amber and I always get this kind of hate. People always shame me and Amberlynn. Have you seen what they said to Amberlynn? Well, when Amber had cancer, you guys still didn't give her a break, so how can I trust it? Blah, 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 blah. You lump yourself in with her. You are the one who tried to leech some of her clout and put yourself in the same category. So, no. I'm not lumping y'all in together. I mean, any more than two morbidly obese white ladies on the internet mukbanging would be lumped together anyway, right? You guys are two creators in the same field, almost the exact same field, to be very frank with you. And on top of that, you two both talk to each other and about each other. So, like, The fuck are you talking about that I'm lumping you guys in? You lumped you in. You did that. Don't put that on me, ma'am.
It's just, it's frustrating. Like, that's why I always say, like, am I in the Twilight Zone? Because, like, people don't realize that they're the one with the problem.
You are the one with the problem, Chantal. You are the one who says that they have an eating disorder, then eats disorderly on camera, and then denies having an eating disorder. Or do you want me to roll the clip of when you were ranting in the car about how you haven't talked about having an eating disorder in so long, and how dare people say that you have an eating disorder? Like, you do this shit. Own it. That's all I'm asking for. Just take some accountability of your own actions. And I swear to God, like 50% of the people here would be like, all right, she's right. And she's apologized for it and she's owned it with sincerity, and they'd move on. But you don't. And so nobody can give you that kind of validation. Nobody can let it go. Because you don't accept any responsibility. You don't accept any of the fault that you have. You will skate around it. You'll start with saying, oh, yeah, well, you're right. I did do that. I do have, like, your room got messy. And you're like, yeah, I did get messy, but I have depression, you see. It's the depression's fault. And then you'll say, well, yeah, I did eat all that food, but I have an eating disorder. It's the ED's fault. Yeah, I insulted somebody's nose and I said that, oh, you can't get with me, and because I don't F with men whose noses are bigger than their dicks. But, they were being mean to me first. Everything is everybody else's fault. There's always another reason for why this is happening other than I did this, I own this. That's why people don't want to let it go. That's why people don't like what you have to say. God, sometimes it just feels like I'm spinning my wheels, just like a hamster stuck in a ball.
It's not going to change. That's just how, like, the human condition. There's always going to be shitty people.
Yeah, there are shitty people in every single group. I'm not even going to lie about that. I'm sure that there's some creators out there who have talked about you who are incredibly hostile and incredibly rude. But painting everybody with that brush would be wrong. That would be like me saying that all of your supporters are racist pieces of garbage because Shani for Christ is a racist piece of garbage. Does that seem fair? No. I am sure there's a lot of people who watch you who are perfectly lovely, perfectly nice people who just happen to like you, right? There's a good portion of them who are also awful because they encourage you to eat things that you shouldn't be eating and do things that you shouldn't be doing. But a good portion of them, I'm sure, just are lovely, normal, nice people. So I don't understand why, if I can give them and you that kind of consideration, why you can't just give it to the rest of the world. Why is it that you have to sit there and say, all of you must be bad people and all of you have no lives and all of you live in the basement? That's right. I haven't forgotten that part. Why do you do that? Why do you paint everybody with the same brush? I'm not doing that. Do I come on here and insult Chantal all day long? No. Do I call her names for the most part? No, I don't. Do I talk about what she's doing, her behavior and her actions? Yes. Do I try and give you guys a little bit more insight on what she's doing and why she's doing it based on my own history with troubled eating? Yes, I do that. So why are you generalizing me? Why are you generalizing all of us? I mean, you want to talk about it, let's talk about it, right? This is, I think, easy way for her to dismiss all of the criticism that she gets from all of the reaction channels. And they run the gambit, I'm sure, right? I'm sure there's some people who are offering her nothing but like, everything you eat is bad and you should never eat anything because you are fat. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people who are going to be in here who are going to come on here and be like, hey, maybe don't have a smoothie, right? Maybe skip the smoothie next time. Maybe just have this and pair it with like ice water or something like that. By painting everybody with the same brush, by creating this straw man, what you're doing is you're trying to dismiss all of us. But instead what it does is that it validates everybody's opinion. It makes everybody, even the ones who are saying horrible, nasty, mean shit to you, seem more credible because you're trying to dismiss people's arguments without ever really addressing anything and straw manning the whole group at the same time. So
Charlie's just angry. She's got issues. She's just angry. It's personal for her, and I find that funny. I don't think about her at all. I don't see her channel. I mean, how long can you go on with your channel just talking shit about, calling names to women? Like, I think her time as doing those videos is probably numbered, for sure.
And there's the mention of Charlie again. Charlie hasn't talked about this girl, made a video about this girl, or interacted with this girl in what, I want to say like a month, maybe more. And here Chantal is just giving Charlie free space in her brain. I think part of this is calculated, right? I think she's trying to drum up drama. She's trying to drum up views. She's trying to drum up just a lot of controversy so that she can get more moolah. The holidays can be an expensive time. But I think that part of it is also that she's feeling shitty about herself because she started therapy and because she no longer has her coping mechanism. And the way that she's taking it out right now is by blaming Charlie. Which, I mean, if you guys want to blame Charlie, you can go ahead and like put, hashtag I blame Charlie for this. I think she'd appreciate it. But this is not the way to deal with negative emotions. You might be getting criticism right now from other people, and if you are, right, like address those people. Don't just go after one person who hasn't said anything to you in like a month. Not everything is about her. Not everything is her fault. She doesn't like mind control all of us into saying or doing or thinking anything. And I think you really need to let it go. I think if you interacted with Charlie less, if you lashed out at her less, I think you'd probably fare better emotionally as well. Just let it go. That's all you got to do. There's a lot more to this. A lot of it is just her repeating a lot of the same points. She rants a little bit more, but really there's nothing else I want to add to it. And quite frankly, this video has already gotten long enough. The second half of this is also going to be like, I fear, an hour. At this point, my recording, it's already like an hour. I'm going to try and cut it down as much as I possibly can. But even then, who knows? Because I talk a lot. So let's see. Anyway, next. This is the last video that she's posted as of now. I'm sure she's going to post more. She's been very, very prolific. This is the Abominable Pete's video. It's cute. I liked it. What can I say? I like a goofy, cheesy thing. I like those. My only like real issue with it is that it takes away from some of the campiness when she uses names like Boner and she's like, oh, I got to do a number 2 in the woods. Like, that's not entertaining. You could have made it better and campier and funnier and weirder if you'd just been slightly less gross about it. Like, you could have made it just so much better, you know? Overall, though, I like weird things like this. I really wish she would do more stuff like this. She's been talking about doing the Abominable Pete's short video movie thing for, I want to say, like 3 months now. Maybe I'm wrong. It's felt that long. She should have gotten it done much earlier. I think it would have been cute. I think they're campy and adorable. And I wish she would invest more time in stuff like this rather than, let me go get more pita pit and drink 4 more smoothies. Whatever. Anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is all I have to say about Chantal at this point. It was a lot. My throat's dry and I am tired and now I want to go take a nap. And I want to take these eyelashes off too. I did not trim them, which I should have because they're a little long for me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you hated this video, you can give me a thumbs down. That's totally okay. I respect everybody's opinions here. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below and hit all if you want to know when I upload any video right away. I've got all my social media accounts linked down below. I've got Instagram where it's food stuff and life stuff, but I don't really have a life, so it's just food stuff. And even that's a little lacking right now because I haven't been doing anything. I've just been using this time to kind of chill and I went on some hikes and stuff like that. I will have more content on there soon. Promise. I've also got Twitter. It's basically the place where you can interact with me the easiest. So if you guys are interested in that kind of thing, that's where you can find it. I also have a lot of my opinions and stuff like that on there too. So, if you're curious about stuff, that's where you can find it. Channel updates, everything basically. I've also got Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing here and you'd like me to continue, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. You don't have to. It's not necessary. But hey, if you could, that'd be nice. And I would love you for it. I promise. Forever and ever. You're never going to get away from me. I've also got a community tab. So if you guys want to become members of the community, hey, you can do that. Then become a member of the Prequels. We are a great bunch. It will be fun. I've got special perks that I offer to my community members. All of that is down below. So, consider it. Think about it. You could do that. It might be fun. Who knows? You'll never know if you don't try it. Anyway, That will be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. I really hope that she's confiding in her doctor about her YouTube and the contents of her YouTube account. I actually really hope that she's given the doctor like a link to her channel, and that she's letting the doctor watch everything, including the videos that, sorry, God, this is why I hate lashes sometimes. They're prickly, they poke me in the eyes. There's a certain point in your life after which you just are who you are.